Welcome to the LinkedIn Trust Series at Advertising Week New York. I'm BJ Smith, and I have with me Dawn Winchester, a publicist. Welcome.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Great. So we are talking about trust and the digital age.
Yep. And I'm going to trust you're not going to ask any hard questions.
Yeah, I saved all those for today. Really, I think one of the things that we kind of need to talk about is algorithms and the black boxes of some of the companies that we trust.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. We have a situation right now where we have these large digital media platforms, and essentially at the heart of their business is a black box algorithm that us within the agency world or our clients don't necessarily understand what's in there, what data is being collected, how that data is being used.
Right.
And as machine learning is being applied on top of that, we're seeing just an acceleration of what's going on. And when we think about transparency, the lack of transparency there makes the trust exchange that has to happen a little bit difficult. We saw in press recently that one of the media companies, essentially their algorithm was looking at behavior within the social graph, right, and found clusters of frankly, sort of bad behavior, hatred behavior. That was a reflection of things that people were doing within the environment. But what's strange is their algorithm sort of took that and turned it into an ad product, and it's because those algorithms are unsupervised today, right? We've put machine learning in place and we're letting it sort of, kind of go through its motions, and these are the things that come out the other side. So I think, as someone who works within the agency environment, as someone who's responsible and cares for brands every day, it's a wake-up call for us about how much do we know, how much can we know, how much influence can we have over these black box algorithms and data sets that are mediating so much of our ability to talk to our customers.
Do you think that there's a way where some of these companies can go in and expose enough of that information to the marketers or to the public without, which I'm sure they're afraid of, is the fear of sacrificing that trade secret, I guess?
Yeah, and I completely understand that. I mean, they've built enormous businesses off of the quality of that data, the quality of the engineering, and believe me, I am pro-business in this, absolutely. But I think on the other side, we do need ways that we can validate what's happening, have some level of quality control, some level of brand safety, right, and certainly transparency around even the execution. Are we getting all of those eyeballs that we paid for? Are those eyeballs actual human eyeballs instead of robot eyeballs?
Yeah.
So all of those things, I think we need to evolve a set of tools as an industry that we're sharing,
right, that
we're all confident. Because if we don't have trust in all of the components of our business, that's actually going to freeze up our business, right? We're not going to be able to, move quickly. We're not going to have shared language. We're not going to be able to really take advantage of the opportunities of digital. So I'm very positive that we'll get there. I just think we happen to be in a day and age right now where we haven't really gotten those tools that we need to be able to have that level of confidence and transparency.
I think with many of these companies that you're talking about that have these black box algorithms, one, there's a public outcry for the amount of information that they are collecting and what information they are collecting. Do you think that there's a way to build in ethical guidelines for what is possible? An example would be, imagine I'm going to hire somebody. I'm looking to hire somebody. So I create an ad, but I could actually target only white males, right? I mean, that's built-in, racism, sexism, all that right there in the ad platform. The ad platform allows you to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that example is obviously against the law today in the United States, right? That is, but you can completely, the technology to enable that in an incredibly seamless way is absolutely present. I think it's interesting. I mean, I saw recently that ProPublica released a whole investigative journalist arm around the idea of machine bias, right? So, and it's about algorithmic injustice. And I think we'll get more and more pressure from, investigative journalists as they're looking at these things. I think that, I always believe that they point us in the right direction often, or highlight things that are happening that maybe we wouldn't necessarily see on a day-to-day basis. I think there's strength actually in pro-consumer groups generally that we're starting to see. We're all starting to get a language for this.
Right.
I actually would love to see us start to teach within our, our high schools, our grade schools, more sort of awareness of what these algorithms are like and how we're making decisions. There was this fascinating article in Wired magazine maybe a month or two ago about a woman who had been searching for her sister. She had lost touch with her and was searching online for her sister. And her sister had changed very slightly the spelling of her name,
right.
But she was assuming the algorithm would check all the variations
Sure.
of it, just as Google autocomplete gives you lots of variations.
Right.
And she had this assumption about how the algorithm worked, and it didn't work that way. And it ended up being something like 14 years before she could find her sister. And it had to do with this sort of misconception of what that algorithm is doing and the sort of lack of transparency about that. So I'd love some more sort of general education for everyone, for all of us, so that we can do, a better job of how these algorithms help us organize our day. Because they can be tremendously valuable for us. They bring us amazing information. They make connecting with people so much easier. There's so much value, but can be sometimes this lack of transparency, which can give you some bias.
That's great. Dawn, thank you so much for joining me today.
Okay, great. It was a lot
nice
of
to
fun.
meet you.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more of the LinkedIn Trust series at Advertising Week New York.